for my top book of the entire year. Drum roll, please. This might be kind of rough to film. We are recovering from the flu. But in 2024, I read 62 books, I DNF'd one book, and here are my thoughts / all of the books and my best recommendations, and also I have unhauled a lot of books. I'm trying to curate my collection behind me to be things on my shelves or things that I would recommend to other people, or like wouldn't see that on my shelf and be like, oh yeah, don't read that. So anything that like hit that litmus test of if it was on my shelf and someone asked about it, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, don't pick that one up. I got rid of it. So it's already off my local library or somewhere else. So I will cover all of those books at the end of the video because I've already gotten rid of them. But here are well, it's gonna be less than 62 because some of those did not make the cut. But 62 books, let's start now. First book I read in 2024 was Crying in H Mart. Really, really good memoir. Didn't rate it because it's a memoir, but enjoyed reading it. Don't fully agree with all of the things the author was saying in the book, but that's the point of the memoir, is that you can write, like the author can write their own truth, and that's their book and their business, and I still enjoyed reading it. So that's Crying in H Mart, about grief, losing a parent, like that kind of sadness, but also really, really interesting. Next up, Book Lover by Emily Henry. This is my second favorite novel of hers. Then we read Ruthless Vows. It is book 2 to the Divine Rivals duology. A lot of people did not love it. I loved this. It leans way more into the fantasy part of the story and like the war versus the like love and the romance that's happening in book 1, but I really truly loved all of that. When in Rome by Sarah Adams, I like this series a lot more than her cheat sheet series, so definitely will continue whatever they put out in this series. Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I love this book. Very cliche, very like run-of-the-mill, like what you expect for every single trope in a young adult fantasy epic kind of novel. I heard lots of mixed things about all of the following books, so I have them on my TBR cart over here. Have not read them yet, but really liked book 1 at least. The Dare by Elle Kennedy. This is the last book in the Briar U universe. Sad to finish it. It was also my least favorite book out of all of the Briar U books, so that was kind of disappointing. Then I started the Naturals series. This is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, the same one who did the Inheritance Games. That series is not my favorite. This one is a lot better. So Naturals, great, fast-paced, quick. Also YA, what's the word I'm looking for? Mystery, kind of like Criminal Minds. Book number 2 in that series is Killer Instinct. Loved it. I took a break for that series for my top book of the entire year. Drum roll, please. Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, number 5 by Miss Jessa Hastings in the Magnolia Parks universe. If you have not started the series, this is my top. Like top tier, untouchable, cannot beat how good it is. It's very toxic. It's like Gossip Girl toxic, but it's so good. And this book, especially just the healing in it, like it was so good. This book, read it. After going through that emotional turmoil of reading that book, we hopped back in to finish up the Naturals, so I have All In, also loved this book. And then the last book of the series ruins it all for me, and it's Bad Blood, so I wish I didn't read this book. Did not enjoy it. I got stacks of books to move around, so here is stack number 2 of 4. We Were Liars. A lot of people hate this. I loved it. There's a huge plot twist, did not see it coming, and ate it up. Also young adult. If You Had Been With Me is like young adult high school, really dramatic, supposed to make you cry. I don't think I cried. I saw what was going to happen, but I also still kind of loved it. I think she wrote high school really, really well, and if I was in high school when I read this, I know I would have been eating this up. I read Iron Flame, which is the sequel to, what's it called? Fourth Wing, that's the book. I think book number 3 is coming out in January, so I'm excited about that, but I really like this one too. It got a lot of hate, maybe not hate. This was not as beloved as the first book, but I also really enjoyed it. I think it was similar to the Divine Rivals issue of like the first book is like heavy romance, and this is like, okay, we get like past the romance and now we're like heavy in the plot of the fantasy element of the story, and I really liked it. So still recommend this. Found a new favorite author of mine. I've never read anything Sally Rooney, and I read Normal People this year. Loved this. Ate this up. It opened up my eyes to a whole new like genre of just like, I don't want to say like average people or mediocre people, but there's like a difference between a book like this versus like a typical romance, like this is Cowboy Romance by Elsie Silver books. Like it's a different kind of story about adults in a romantic relationship that's just more in touch with the real world. That was really beautiful. And for Christmas, I got 2 other books from Sally Rooney and cannot wait to read those. I read Caraval the year prior, so I started the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, so I read book 1. Really liked it. Really, not as much as Caraval. I liked Caraval a lot more than this series. I don't know if I just don't care for these main characters. Like, it was good. I'm gonna finish the series, but I just didn't have the same like magical transportation feeling. Like, I was like in Caraval in my head in these books, and this one just kind of was just like, okay, I get it. A little too young adult for my taste, maybe. Okay, also started reading Elsie Silver this year, and back to like the Sally Rooney thing. Like, this is like your typical contemporary romance. This is small town cowboy romance. Love it, eat it up. I personally am not a spice reader, so I skip all of those, and these books are heavy on the spice, but I also really, really love the cowboy aspect of it and like all of that stuff. Like, so much so that I now own cowboy boots, and my husband for Christmas got me tickets to go see professional bull riding. So changed my personality a little bit, but a lot of spice, which is not normally where I go for. So you're gonna see lots of spice books in here, and I just don't read them. Terms and Conditions, a lot better than the first book in this series, what's it called? The Fine Print. I like this one way more. I also started really liking Lauren Asher's writing, and you'll learn later on in the video another obsession of mine that has been sparked by books this year. And we have Lauren Asher to thank, if you can pick up what I'm putting down or can guess where I'm taking that later on. Lucy Foley, The Guest List. I think this is the only thriller I read this year. I read another like mystery, but it was more like cozy mystery, but I really enjoyed this. It's set on a remote Irish island. It's creepy. I was all about it. I was so for it. They say she's like Agatha Christie, so it's like, you know, all of your characters. Like, there's not going to be like a mysterious extra person who pops up who's like, who did this? Really want to read more of her books, but also I'm not a huge thriller reader, so I got this one at a what's it called? Like a used bookstore. So I got it really cheap, and then it kind of sat on my shelves for a while until I finally picked it up, but really enjoyed this. Finally read Happy Place. I think this is my favorite one. I'd have to reread Book Lovers in this one to kind of really compare them, but I'm pretty sure this is my #1 Emily Henry book. Book Lovers is #2, so definitely recommend Happy Place. Then I read Rulebook by Sarah Adams. This is the sequel to the Cheat Sheet series. Hated this. Well, not hate's a strong word. I didn't hate it enough to get rid of it. It just did nothing for me. I also really did not like that Sarah Adams is like a known closed door romance author. So she's not giving you all of the details that you don't care to have. And then this book, her first book, this is the first book out of all of hers she done this. She made a whole chapter about spice. I'm like, that's like your whole shtick. So I'm fine skipping it. Like, I read other books and skip it just fine, but I'm like, why do you make it a part of like who you are as an author and then change it for this book? That was odd to me. The Light We Lost is similar to like Normal People vibes of like a more, I wouldn't say realistic in any way, but just less like perfect and everything's wonderful and dreamy and magical and whatever. A more realistic, like maybe believable is a better word, like a more believable relationship timeline. Although she like is really into like her ex and she's married to this other guy. It's just weird in that aspect, but also a new kind of genre to me that I really enjoyed. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Not everything in this book is applicable to me as a married Christian woman. Actually, a lot of this was gross to me, but I really appreciated the book, and it basically boils down at the end to like the most important romantic relationship the author has had in her life is with her female best friend of like 25, 30 years, and it actually inspired me to reconnect with my like childhood best friend, and that's just been super special. So this book will always hold somewhere like close in my heart because it like made me realize that I should reach back out, and I did, and now we are friends again. And so this book alone for that aspect, very special to me, and also like just an interesting read, like another memoir of like, I can't hate it because of the subject matter that I don't agree with, because it's her truth, it's Dolly's truth in her life, but I can also just be like, not everything applies to me. Okay, last thing in this stack is Final Offer by Lauren Roberts. I don't remember, which one is this one? Oh, The House. This one I think was my favorite out of the Dreamland Billionaire series. Also, if I talk really fast, I'm sorry, that's just how I roll. I have kids napping, I gotta get this video done with. Oh, I'm also starting to sweat. We are halfway through the stacks now. I've got 2 stacks left. Now would be a perfect time to plug my little shop that I own and run. If you notice my crew neck sweatshirt, my little book lover sweatshirt, if you would like one, I have these for sale in my shop, placecalledhomecode.com. I will have it linked below in the description bar. I make embroidered, well, I don't make, I order them from a local embroidery shop here in Knoxville, ship them out of my house with a handwritten card from me. I make it all cute. I love doing it for you guys, so if you are interested in perusing what we have a small bookish collection. We also have some encouraging quotes like bloom where you're planted, progress not perfection, and I have a new collection coming out in the beginning of January. So you can sign up for emails on that website and learn more about it, or just shop around and peruse. I also have a few little bookmark goodies. So we have these book lover bookmarks that are laminated, so they're really nice quality. And then on the back, they are stamped with our little place called Homeco logo. So these are available for sale. We also have transparent book lover stickers for sale. And then these are brand new. No one has seen these yet. They're not even on the website or like fully made. We have a new bookmarks that says the book was better. I need to still like stamp these and laminate all of these for you guys. They like just came in the mail. And then I also made a really cute sticker. I'm in love with this sticker. It's on my cell phone right now. But it also says the book was better. In a small way, I want to show you guys some appreciation for all the support with Place Called Homeco and my YouTube channel and everything for this past year. I want to pick a couple of you guys down from the comments and either send some bookmarks or some bookish stickers, just some cute little goodies from the shop, free of charge. I would love to just treat you guys for that. If you guys could just send me either leave a comment down below with your favorite book or least favorite book of the past year, and then let me know also your email address or your Instagram handle so I have a way to directly contact you and like confirm that it's you. And I'll pick a couple of you guys and treat you all to some of the cute little things that are coming to the shop in the new year. The next book we continued in the Flawless series by Elsie Silver, that cowboy small town romance. This one was one of my favorites. I've got two favorites. It's Cade and it's Theo, and this is Cade's book. So good. And then I read Practice Makes Perfect. This is the sequel to Sarah Adams' When in Rome. Another small town romance vibe. So cute. She owns a flower shop. He's a bodyguard. Really, really like this one too. Then I read Funny You Should Ask. I think everybody kind of read this like 2 years ago, and it was cute, but a little far-fetched for me. And I'm mostly keeping it on my shelves just because of how cute this book was designed, like this cover, unmatched. Elle Kennedy has a book called Girl Abroad, and I met my husband studying abroad. I'm one of those annoying kids who never shuts up about it. So any book, one by Elle Kennedy, I am a stan for Elle Kennedy, but also any other book about like studying abroad, I am buying. This girl goes to London. It's very, very cute. The only thing is she starts dating two guys at once in the book, and you're like reading way too much information about each of those relationships, and that gave me like a huge, huge ick. But if I could just like pretend that part of the book does not exist, this was a really fun read. There's like a mystery element for like a research project that she's doing in Europe, and she has to like trapeze around and like put together pieces of like this royal family, like Duke, Duchess, like female thing, and it's that part got me good. So recommend it. You just ignore the section she's dating two guys, because that was gross. Powerless by Elsie Silver. I heard everybody hype this up as like the best one in the book because it's hockey romance, but it was not for me. Not at all. Jasper. Then we read Reckless. This is book number 4 in the series, if you're tracking. This is Theo. Loved it. Ate it up. Yes. Yes. Then to make me feel better about reading a bunch of trashy romance novels, I picked up Moneyball by Michael Lewis. This is the book that the movie Moneyball is based off of, so the book was better. Except this book is a lot of statistics about baseball, like hard statistics. And I enjoy baseball. I am not a deep baseball fan though, so I feel like you have to really care about baseball to read this many numbers about the sport. But I'm glad I read it. I had it on my shelf for a long time, and now it's on my like big shelf. Then I got into Abby Jimenez. I read Part of Your World, which was okay. Like everyone loved her this year. She was just like mid for me. Like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, my new favorite romance author. It was just like, yeah, it's a book. It's good. I finished it. Read Yours Truly next. This was my least favorite out of the two. I liked Part of Your World better. The male main character in this did not do it for me at all. Then we read Ballad of Never After, and this ends on a cliffhanger. This is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart. And then the third book is A Curse for True Love. And that book is out. It's been out for a while. This book ends on a cliffhanger. I want to know what happens, except I have book 1 and 2 in paperback, and book 3 is only in hardcover right now. So I'm patiently waiting for paperback version of book 3 to come out so I can have a nice matching set on my bookshelf. The Way I Used to Be is a really heavy book about heavy topics. Look it up if you have any triggers that you think might be in a heavy topic book. This was actually a Christmas gift from last year that I got from one of my sister-in-laws, and I'm really glad I read it. It was hard to read. It was sad, but a good book. Sorcery of Thorns is a young adult fantasy, and it was fun. Nothing groundbreaking. It definitely is set up for like multiple books, and I think this was published in like 2019, and there's no sequels. So I guess that's the end of the road for this book, but I had a good time reading it. I feel like I should get an award, a gold star, a cookie, anything for powering through Babel. It was really good. It was very, very long. The study of words or etymology in the book was really interesting, and the premise was interesting, and then like clearly the author is not a Christian, but if you are a Christian, you understand the Tower of Babel being like significant in the Bible, and it was just very interesting as a believer to read about this fictionalized world and how they talked about the story or the lore of the Tower of Babel or the Adamic language and all of that stuff. So I really enjoyed it. Ending was weird. Apparently that's how she ends all of her books. So don't know how I feel about picking up more from her. I have another book. I have The Poppy War. This has been on my list of like books to read for a long time, but I've read that it ends all the same way as Babel does. And so now I'm like less excited about that, but I finished it. Took me forever. Okay, we finally finished the Flawless series, book 5 here. This was the absolute worst one. It might be because I am an ex-military wife, and so reading about military stuff that was just too far out there to be believable was just really cringe, but this whole book, not my favorite Elsie. But I will keep it just to have the complete set. Also read The Kiss Curse. This was a complete waste of time, but once again, I have the first book, and it's like cute and like festive for Halloween, so I'm gonna keep it solely for the vibes. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating so much. Okay, sweatshirt's going off. Very close honorable mention for favorite book of the year. Up there with Magnolia Parks was reading the Binding 13 Boys of Tommen series. This book consumed me, this whole series consumed me. I could not put this down. Like I was up until 2 a.m. most nights that I was reading this series because I just could not stop. So we have the first one, then Keeping 13, Saving 6, Redeeming 6, and Taming 7. These are really heavy subject matter, so once again, if you are triggered by things in books, look up triggers, like trigger warnings for these books. They're really heavy, but I think that like kind of gave me almost like a romantasy vibe of like the stakes were so high because of what's happening in these people's lives, and they're just like random high school students in I think Ireland. It's nothing about this is fantasy. They like play rugby, they're in high school, like it's like that kind of vibe. But it felt kind of more like high stakes romance in that you find in fantasy because there were some life or death situations, and I'll leave it at that because those books, I could pick them up and read them again today and like have the same issue of not being able to stop reading until like 2 a.m. Also read Sophie Cousins Before I Do. I found this book like 3 years ago at Goodwill for $1 and just grabbed it, and it sat on my shelf, and I finally read it this year. So good. Literally so good. It's the night before her wedding. This guy she serendipitously met like showed up at her rehearsal dinner, and she's like, oh my gosh, is that the love of my life? Am I making a huge mistake by getting married to this guy? And just like deep dives into her life. And there's a few little outlandish things, but also it was a really good book. Really like that. Immediately added more Sophie Cousins books to my TBR cart to read this year. The author of Fourth Wing, Rebecca Yarros, also has a lot of contemporary romance, contemporary women's fictions book. This was one of them, The Things We Leave Unfinished. It's dual timeline, so there's 2 couples you're following. One is set in London in World War II, so it's a London woman and an American pilot. Their romance was far superior. And then it's set also, I think it's in New York maybe, and it's 2 Americans having their little romance at the same time, and they're intertwined, and it's a great story, but the primary, like the historical romance, so good. Say You Swear is another like high stakes drama, high school football romance. Really hard to read because the writing is so cringe. Like they talk about vibes and like dude, and they curse just to sound cool, and like that was hard to read, and then like the plot was like out there, like it's like Wattpad to the extreme. Nonetheless, I couldn't put it down. I read it, all of its chunkiness, really fast, and had a great time. Now that I had finished all of Elsie Silver's Chestnut Spring series, I started her Rose Hill series. Wild Love was good. I don't think it was my favorite. I think the second one I liked more, but this one was still like typical what you expect from Elsie Silver's small town cowboy romance. I started Throne of Glass. I know a lot of people think you should read Assassin's Blade first, but I'm a firm believer in order of publication reading of anything. So yes, I know it's not going to hit as hard when I get to reading Assassin's Blade, but I really strongly believe in publication order reading. So I started the first one, didn't really care for it at all. Like, I just did not get into this book at all. I don't love any of the characters. I'm not attached to anybody. I don't really care what happens. So I've yet to pick up book 2. So we'll see how far we get through the series, but I'm low-key not impressed at all. Okay, we got, I think, 5 books left, and then we'll go through my list of everything that did not make the cut to stay on the shelves this year. This is Wild Eyes, book 2 for that Elsie Silver series. I can tell that my pace of speaking is picking up really fast, so we need to slow down. The Maid, a book that I've also had on my shelf for forever. It was interesting, it was cute. The main character is neurodivergent. They don't really talk about it like that, but all the mannerisms are there of somebody who is that way. And in the beginning of the book, it was really just annoying to read because I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, every single thing she does has to be meticulous in a certain way. I get it. And then towards the end of the book, I was like, oh, okay, now it's endearing. So if you want to suffer through the beginning being really annoying and then like hold out till the end, it was good. There's also like a sequel and a Christmas novel, but I'm 90% sure it's going to be the same exact thing, but like with it being Christmas time. So I don't really care to pick up anymore, but I enjoyed it enough to keep it on the shelf. Okay, last series, in case you were wondering, Lauren Asher. I haven't finished yet, but it is her Dirty Air series. So we have Throttled, Collided, and Wrecked, and this is Formula One, which is by far the newest obsession in this household. I got my husband into it. It's all we watch. We are starting season 4 of Drive to Survive. We are buying our tickets for the Formula One race in Miami. We bought merch for Christmas. Like, Formula One is everything now, and I blame Lauren Asher. I'm currently reading Redeemed right now, which is the 4th and final book in the series, so I don't have it right here because I haven't finished it yet, but the writing's not the best, the characters aren't the best, but the Formula One alone, chef's kiss. That is everything that I physically have to show you. The one DNF that I have for the year is American Royals. It's a young adult, like very young adult, like almost middle schoolish book. Nothing was wrong with it. I just didn't care to read it. And by that point in the year, I was like, I know I'm not going to enjoy, like, I'm not going to like love this book. So I just gave up, brought it to our library to donate. That's normally my go-to is if it's really popular, I'll sell it on Facebook Marketplace. If it's not super popular, I will take it to our library as a donation. Oh, okay. Let's go through my list of books this year and find out what did not make the cut of staying on my shelves. Oh, I read the first 3 books in the Addicted/Calloway Sisters series. Did not like it, did not grow to like it anymore. I felt super uncomfortable reading it. And not because addiction's uncomfortable for me, but reading about her kind of addiction and the way that they wrote it, not for me. I read 3 of them, got rid of all of them. I also read Tessa Bailey's Fix Her Up. The female main character is a literal clown. Like, we would have to read about her being in makeup and like clown shoes and her clown wig. No. I read Mary Jane. Everyone talked that book up about being like a 1970s coming of age novel. It was not that impressive to me. It was fine. It wasn't what was everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is the amazing book of the year, like coming of age story of the year. It wasn't. I read Allie Hazelwood, Love on the Brain. I can highly recommend Love on the Brain if you hate men. Like, if you truly hate all men and want to just read about someone from that point of view, Love on the Brain is for you because Allie Hazelwood must not like men. Ellen Hildebrand, Winter in Paradise, I just didn't care for it. It was slow for me to read. It's part of a trilogy, and I don't care to find out what happens next. So that book did not make it or stay in the list. These Violent Delights is a young adult duology based on Romeo and Juliet, but a little bit of fantasy mixed in, and I was so excited to read it and so disappointed by it. So disappointed. That one did not make the cut. The Atlas 6 took so long for me to read it. It was so pretentious and trying so hard and also so bad. That book did not make the cut. And that is the 62 books and 1 DNF that I read in 2024. Like I said, top tier recommendation is anything in the Magnolia Parks universe or the Boys of Tommen series. And you just heard everything that did not make the cut on my shelves. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment. Remember to leave a comment about your least favorite or your favorite book of the last year with your Instagram handle or an email address that I can contact you at so I can pick a couple of you guys to ship off some bookmarks or some stickers to. And I will see you guys in 2025. Bye.